Yo, what is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to a brand new Football Manager 2014 video here on my channel. Hopefully you guys are good. It's been a while since I've done a video. Quick thing before I get into this video, apologies for the fact there weren't any videos last month. Last month was probably one of the hardest months of my life. I'm not going to go into too many details. It was a nightmare. Slowly getting things back on track, and I'm going to be bringing videos your way now for the foreseeable future. So anyway, this is a new series here on my channel. Videos with this will be going up every Thursday weekly. You may notice in the top right that next to continue, there's two players. The reason there's two players is because I'm recording this video as part of a network game series. Something that I've wanted to do for a while is a network game with someone else, where me and that other person do videos alongside each other in the same game world. And you guys get to see two different perspectives on it. So I'm doing this series. It's based in America with my team, the Spacemen, and Dr. Benji, the other guy in this kind of network game team, Tamparama FC. I'll put a link down to his channel in the description of this video. So if you want to see what he did with his preseason, that's all down there. But anyway, a little bit about this save so you guys know what's up. We are on a modified US database. It basically has made it a 4-tier system. So we are in the North American Soccer Super League. You've then got 3 divisions below this, all the way down to League 3. So with this save, you'll see here that we have a lot of the MLS teams, which are traditionally in the MLS format now in this league system of 20 teams, very similar to the English Football League system. And there are 2 teams here, one which is mine, the Spacemen. And you can see us here. I'll go into our transfers and stuff very shortly. And then the other team we have is Tamparama FC, who are Ben's team. So as I mentioned, if you want to see what he did with his preseason, you can go check that out there. So we started this save. Both teams had 120 million in the bank. They had £1.1 million wage budget to spend and a transfer budget of 50 million. We were allowed to up our kind of expectations to mid-table and also request extra money from the board. So you'll notice that I've actually spent slightly more than the kind of 50 million I previously mentioned. But you can see the club finances here. We both started with completely empty teams, and over the course of this transfer window, this initial transfer window, we've had to build up squads for this season. So the long-term aim with this series is that myself and Ben will really be dicing it out for the title in a very competitive league. Obviously, we are going to be competing alongside a number of other teams in this league. As I mentioned, there's some pretty big teams here. Just to give you an idea of this kind of entire database, the reputation of the league has been improved to increase the kind of calibre of players who can join. The USA as a whole has received a number of tweaks. LA Galaxy are probably the biggest team. You can see here they only made 2 transfers, but they did get Griezmann from Sociedad. So that gives you an idea of some of the financial power that some of the big teams have. So this database is a little bit like a Super League in many ways, the idea being that the US League is one of the best in the world. Not the best just yet, but certainly on its way to being that. If we look at the rules here, you can see the prize money is pretty hefty. You're allowed a maximum of 20 foreign players in your entire squad, and there can be no more than 11 in your matchday squad. So we are going to have to keep an American core of sorts. You've got to have at least 7 players in your 18-man match squad, of which 7 players are on the bench. So anyway, this is my team. This is a team that's been assembled very kind of hastily, and hopefully it's all going to fall into place. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is show you guys the transfers. But rather than doing it the traditional transfer history way, I'm going to kind of just introduce the squad as a whole because every player is new. But here you can see a list of all the players that I brought in. Total outlay was 82.02 million. You can see here, if we go to Tamparama FC, Ben spent 74 million. So if you want to see his transfers and see his explanations, go check out his video. But anyway, let's look at our squad. And to be honest, I'm pretty happy with our team as a whole. The system that I'm going to be playing at this year is actually a system which I used previously on a save. This was, of course, the Oxford 4-3-1-2. If you've watched my stream save Oxford from a few months ago, you'll know the basic kind of, I guess, tactic of this. It worked very well for me, and because obviously with me signing a lot of new players, I was really able to build a team to my liking. So anyway, the way I'm going to actually do this is go through each position. So starting off with our 2 goalkeepers, the first one we have here is Brad Friedel. Picked him up from Tottenham Hotspurs for 400k. Pretty kind of cheap price. He is actually one of the biggest earners at the club. That was just a natural kind of issue that I encountered, given the fact that, of course, at Tottenham he has fairly hefty wages. My total wage budget is about 750k, which I'm spending. So obviously Brad Friedel does take up a hefty chunk of that, but he's a very good goalkeeper, and of course he's American, which helps a lot as well. Next player we have is Bose Myhill, who I managed to pick up from West Brom. 1.6 million paid. The reason I picked up this guy is he's not only a solid keeper, but he's also actually part American. He has dual nationality, so that was very useful, and I was able to use that, and that means that I'm not using one of my foreign player slots. In the right back position we have two players. The first one we have here is Saudioglu, who I picked up from Galatasaray on loan. He's just a good backup player. 130k is the fee we're playing. Just needed some backup on the right wing back. And then our backup left back is Joe Bennett, who we picked up from Aston Villa on loan for the season. So the reason for me doing these two loanee signings at the kind of backup fullback positions was simply due to the fact that I was running pretty thin on money by the end of the window, and it was one of the areas where I just simply didn't have backups. In terms of our starting fullbacks, the first one here, our right back, you can see here Paul Aguilar, good player, Mexican international, very good attacking fullback, which is pretty useful. Good crossing, good dribbling, and you can see here he's capable of playing right wing back and right mid if need be. I really wanted to get some attacking fullbacks in, and we do that on the left-hand side as well, where we have another Mexican international. Here we have Adrian Aldrete, who has joined us, and he is a very good player as well. As you can see, good crossing and dribbling again, just a solid all-round player. £2.3 million paid for Aldrete, which was a pretty good price, and to be honest, those two fullbacks alone were two of the best signings I made in the window in terms of value for money. At the centre-back position, I was able to get in two really high-calibre players. The first, Ryan Shawcross. If you watch the For the Fans podcast that myself and Ben, the guy who I'm doing this network game with, do, it's a Premier League podcast, but I always big up Ryan Shawcross. I want to see him do well. Unfortunately, he hasn't done that well in his career so far. He's still stuck at Stoke. Fortunately, I've taken over. I've got him for 7.5 million, and he is a very, very good player, and he's actually going to be our captain this year. You can see his kind of core technicals are very solid, and alongside him at the centre-back position, we go with Mangala, who I was able to pick up for a pretty decent price, all things considered. £10 million paid to get him from Porto. His wages are fairly decent as well. He's only on 35k a week, and I was able to prize him away from the hands of Real Madrid, who are also sniffing at him. So, two very good signings, and I feel as if those two centre-backs alone are really going to be of huge influence to us this year. In terms of the backup centre-backs, Matt Mills is the first. He's a good player. We picked him up for fairly cheap. Another championship player we picked up in the centre-back position was Seb Hines, who's part American. Got him from Middlesbrough, just a good bit of cover. We then look at Mori, who is a Argentine kind of prodigy of sorts. Not got the best ability, but he is part American, so he kind of falls into that category of useful player, and he came in for a little under £1 million. And the last centre-back we have here is Christopher Schneidlinder, who I actually got in from, I think it was 1816 Munich. It was for 825k, and the reason I signed this guy is because he's so versatile. He can play left back and right back, which is so useful, and I'm going to be really looking to use that this year as kind of a backup option, with me only having two right backs and two left backs without his inclusion in the side. So he's a very useful player there. So anyway, because of the way I'm lining up without wide men, for the most part, you'll notice that I've pretty much got a very kind of central midfield kind of core. There isn't a need for wingers, I guess, and hopefully that's not going to come back to bite us if we do need to change things up. So in the defensive midfielder kind of positions, the first choice player we have here is Karim Guede. We'll go with it. He actually plays for Slovakia. He's a really good anchorman. The other players we have capable of playing that defensive role are Kyle Beckerman, who, of course, you guys may recognise from the World Cup. His hair is fairly distinguishable. He was one of the first acquisitions I made. I didn't really know the calibre of player I was really aiming for with this squad, and it wasn't until afterwards that I kind of realised, despite how good he was for America at the World Cup, he's really not going to be a massive asset to our team. But he's only come in for 625k, so it's a pretty kind of minimal signing in terms of the financial impact it's going to have. So he's a useful player just to have, and of course because he doesn't take up a foreign player slot, that makes him even more useful. The other defensive player we have is another loanee, Anthony Annan, who I'm loaning from Schalke. Just a good player with some good mentals. He's got good physical stats. He can also play centre mid and the more defensive area, which of course doesn't really feature in our tactic, but he's just a useful player to have there. Looking higher up in the midfield role, we have Lucas Romario. If you don't know who this guy is, I don't know what you're doing really. He's one of the best FM kind of youngsters you can pick up early in the game. 6.5 million for him from Vélez. Comes in, he's going to be an instant starter, and in fact, of our kind of central midfield, which I'd actually argue is our weakest area, he's one of the best players, and he'll be occupying that deep line playmaker role for us. Alongside him in the actual starting midfield, we have Ricardo Bocanegra, 24 years old, another Mexican player. This guy's never kind of played in the Mexico side. I really like this guy though. He's really well rounded. You know, he hasn't got the best aerial ability and he's not the most creative player, but in terms of as a central midfielder, which is where we're going to be deploying him for the most part, he's going to be a very good player just because of how well rounded off he is. He also has some useful physicals which are certainly going to help with him getting up and down the pitch. So anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail of all these players, but the other guys we signed are Alvaro Fernandez, who's just another really good backup option and kind of rotation option in the midfield. Again, he has part American nationality. We also have Fagundes, who is a really good young prospect in FM. Again, this guy is Uruguayan. We signed him from New England Revolution, but he's a very good player who we were able to get in for a very low price. And then Federico Higuain, who is a player who plays for Columbus Crew in real life, and because the Spacemen replaced Columbus Crew, he was made a free agent, so I was able to really quickly snap him back up, and he's a very useful player. In terms of our players in the final third, we have a lot of options, and by a lot, I mean a lot. The first of which, a name all too familiar to any FM fan, Freddie Adu, perhaps the most well-known American footballer outside of the USA, simply in part down to Football Manager. Unfortunately, he's not got the -10 ability he had all those years ago, never really fulfilled it, but he comes to us and he'll be a good little option on off the bench. His pace could really cause some defence issues. Alongside him in kind of, I guess, that attacking midfielder role, we have Kiyotake, who will be the starter there, or Kiyotake, who we managed to get for a very kind of good price of £6 million from Nuremberg. Fantastic creative player. This guy playing the trequartista role for us is just... He's going to be something else. He's so well suited to this role. Maybe the thing that lets him down is his finishing, but with the exception of that, he really is an unbelievable player. And you can see here, he's really going to cause some teams issues and really be the kind of, I guess, creative force in our team. We also have Corona here, who is the kind of third, I guess, attacking midfielder we really have. And he's a good player, 23 years old, made a lot of appearances for the USA. And you can see here we signed him for 3.9 million, which is a pretty good price for a young American player who perhaps has a little bit of potential yet to fulfill. Looking in the final third, we have 5 strikers to pick from, 2 of which are injured right now. The first one here is Chow. I don't know. Answers on a postcard. This guy is a Brazilian player with American nationality as a secondary nationality. I got him from Internacional for £1.5 million, which is a really good price because he is a very talented player. The other players we have in this kind of area of the park, Danny Ings and Charlie Austin. These guys are going to be starting for us. I really like these guys working alongside each other. 2 championship players in real life, or at the start of the game in real life. Of course, both got promoted with their teams, QPR and Burnley. They're 2 players who have a fair bit of potential, and in FM they can really go on to shine. Charlie Austin particularly. These 2 guys came in combined for about 16 million, which is definitely an overpay, but to be honest, I've never really had a chance to use these guys alongside each other in Football Manager, and this presented me with a really good opportunity to do so. 2 players who are going to work very well alongside each other, I have a feeling. So looking forward to seeing how those 2 guys get on with each other. And then the other 2 players we have, both players who we signed from Germany. We have Yo-Yo Asako, who is a Japanese prospect who actually used to play for not Okayama FC, Kashima Antlers, who of course I had a save with not too long ago. So he's a good player. He's joined us for £5 million, so hopefully he can offer something when he comes on off the bench. And the other player we brought in was Sean Parker, who is one of the best young kind of Americans in the game. He does have a kind of a German primary nationality. You can see here he plays for Mainz, but I have a feeling he might kind of come to the US and become a US international player at some point in his career. He's got really good pace, some good finishing. He's only 20, as you can see, loads of potential yet to fulfill. So that's the squad. I appreciate it's very rambly me going through each player, but I feel inclined to show you guys everything that's been going on in terms of the actual players themselves. In terms of where I expect us to finish in the league, it's going to be a tricky first year. As you can imagine, with this many new faces coming in, gelling's certainly going to be an issue. If you look at the season preview as well here, you can see these odds were done before we made any signings. 200 to 1. I should stress that both ourselves and Tamperama FC are kind of mirror images of each other. We are the exact same in every way. So me and Ben are on the exact same kind of foot in that respect. So anyway, that's the squad. I've shown you a little bit about the tactic. I'll probably go into more details of that later on. The episodes in this series will be going up every Thursday. We're going to be doing about 6-month updates. So every 6 months there'll be a video kind of in game time that you guys see. And then we'll probably do extra episodes when me and Ben play each of us live coming against one another. So anyway, I'm going to skip forward now. Our first game of the season is against Montreal Impact, I do believe. So I will chat to you guys on match day. Okay guys, so it is match day here as Montreal Impact take on the Spacemen in their debut 4 weeks after the team was formed. Can the team gel? Apparently Mangala is our key man. We can see the other fixtures going on here. Hopefully we can get things off and start in winning ways. So touch wood, fingers crossed. We'll see how we go. But yeah, this should be an interesting save just because it's going to be something so different. So fingers crossed we can really give our fans a fantastic start. All 2 of them who probably exist. Trying to get the team fired up. It's the first game of the season. It's difficult to judge how your team's going to perform here. I'm hoping that we can get things off to winning ways, and maybe the quality that we have over some of the smaller teams in this division is going to be enough to see us through. So let's sort out our pace right here, so that we're not watching in too slow motion-y stuff. And Fernandez is injured after 4 minutes. It's a good start here. Fantastic start. Right, Beckerman is going to have to come in for Fernandez, and then Romero is going to have to drop into the deep line playmaker role. That is just the start I was looking for. Can Charlie Austin and Danny Ings, the 2 men I've put my faith in to lead this line, hopefully they can repay me. Hopefully we're going to get some highlights this game, or it's going to be the most anticlimactic first game ever. Right, Perkins. We are in our famous white kit. It's not that famous at all, but hopefully we can do something here. This is still really slow. Let's do that. Right. That still seems really slow. That doesn't feel like it's getting faster. There we go, that's better. They're on the attack, they've scored. Can we go slower again? Please. That's not good. We've dropped down to 18th. It's a nightmare start. Absolute nightmare. Chris Pontius grabbing the goal. That's not particularly good. Not particularly good at all. I was so hopeful that we could do better. And it started off with an absolute nightmare. So now it's down to us to really turn things around. In case you can't tell by my voice, I'm actually not particularly well at the moment. So if I start coughing, touch wood that won't happen. I've got a glass of water next to me. I apologise. But it looks like at the break it is going to be 1-0. And it's been a pretty crap first half, to be honest. Let's tell the players. Show me something else. Just not good enough. Need to get angry. Need to get mean. Right now we're not doing enough with the ball. Let's go a little bit more direct with our play. We have got Ings and Austin, so we've got 2 very big players who you'd hope can maybe win the ball and really be a physical presence for us, particularly Austin. He's so good in the air. I'm really looking for him to be an impact player for us, but right now the only impact that's being made is by Montreal. I tell you what, this might be the most boring game I've ever had to livecom, unless we can get a late winner, in which case it instantly becomes the most exciting. Because right now we've only had 1 highlight. We get the ball here. Can we do something? Can we be direct? Ryan Shawcross, what are you doing, Ryan? And Ryan Shawcross has an absolute mare at the back. This is a game we've actually probably been the better team in. We've simply not created enough opportunities. That may be down to team cohesion and lack of familiarity with the tactics. I kind of feel like we might be a little bit slow starting this year. Of course, our expectation is to avoid relegation. Given the signings we've made, I expect to see us a lot higher. But right now, it's just not really clicked this game, unfortunately, for us. And there might be one last chance here before the final whistle. As long as we don't concede 3, I'll be fine. I won't be fine at all. I've taken this horrifically. Montreal Impact do win 2-0. The Spacemen run ragged. I am far from pleased with what I've just seen. A game that we probably deserve to win. So, that's not ideal for us. The games are still being played. If you want to find out how Ben did it with Tamparama FC in his first game of the season, you can go check out the video down in the description. I'll have a link to his channel too. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this first episode of this series. Something very different. You know, really trying to push the boat out. Do think a little bit different in the way of an FM save. The push will hopefully be continuing. I need to work out a schedule. Right now I'm looking at getting a job, and as part of obviously getting a job, I don't really know when I'm going to have time to do videos. So this is going to be coming out every Thursday, as I mentioned. The next video will probably be in about 6 months time, when we really look at how we've pushed on in the league. Hopefully I'll have good news to bring you guys then. Of course, if you enjoyed, let me know by smashing the like button. If we could get 300 likes, that would be amazing. And hopefully you guys will stick around for episode 2 next week. So it is me, Jack, guys, and I'll talk to you in a bit. I'm out.